Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before going on our debate, I will introduce my teams. I am Fadila Putri Sahda as the first speaker, Tania Citra as the second speaker, Agustina Carmila as the third speaker, Dia Ulhak as the fourth speaker, and Fatur Rahman as the last speaker. From the pro team, that will give the definition of this motion. Open the case from the motion in this debate, and tell why we support this motion. As a pro team, I strongly agree with this debate motion that vaccination should be an option, not an obligation. In this case, we agree with that because basically every human being has the right to choose what is best for himself. What is the quality of the vaccine is still in question in terms of harms and side effects. Vaccination as an option means that the person chooses to vaccinate because of the needs of his body, because the body is able to adapt to the vaccine that is inserted, and it is their choice to accept the benefits and risks of the vaccine. People who do not get vaccinated, that means that person accepts that he will not get the benefit of the vaccine or the risk, and it's all their choice because it is their right. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Agustina Agung Ayu. I'm from the first speaker of the negative team. Here I would like to rebuttal the argument from the Fadilas Putri Sahda as a speaker one from the affirmative team. Okay, vaccines provide important benefits to everyone. Throughout vaccination, we can protect ourselves from dangerous infectious disease, even deadly disease. According to WHO, in 2010 until 2015, at least nearly 10 million deaths worldwide were prevented by vaccination. Many lives are protected from various diseases such as pneumonia, diarrhea, whooping cough, measles, and polio. Vaccination is one way to prevent infectious disease that are not only given to babies but also adults. The way it works is by giving certain bacterial or viral antigens that have been weakened or turned off, which then stimulates the immune system to be able to recognize, destroy, and remember foreign objects, so that the body can easily recognize and prevent foreign objects from entering and attacking the body. In my opinion, there is nothing that should be rejected by the mandatory administration of vaccinations to achieve a sustainable level of health both in the country and even in the world. And in principle, vaccination is not just a matter of personal health, but rather to prevent transmission and from immune protection for everyone. Because living in the community is not only about saving yourself, but also saving others' life who need protection. Vaccination is an effort for the government to give to its citizens as a form of prevention from certain disease and solely for the welfare for itself, and basically refusing the vaccinate means hindering the work of the government as well as disturbing the human rights of others. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayu, for your argument and your team. Uh, my name is Tania Citra Gusriani, a speaker two in proposition group. But I think in law number 36 year 2009 concerning health about Article 5, paragraph 3, everyone has the right to independently and responsibly determining the health service needed for themselves. This provision emphasizes that health is a citizen right. The government, as a state administrator is obligated to fulfill health service in order to achieve the highest degree of health. It is emphasizes that the obligation to fulfill health service is not to force people to obey or submit to this health service because it returns to human right, namely every human being has the freedom to choose the best for himself. So why does the government make law that regulates the freedom of its citizen, but still there is coercion? Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Amira Nur Fitri Sunda as second speaker from the opposition teams. Disagree for the argument from affirmative teams. In my opinions, based on the law, the government has an obligation to provide health services for the entire community. This emphasizes that public health is one form of embodiment of legitimate government. Health is part of human rights that must be protected by the government. For some individuals, requiring the public to vaccinate can be considered a violation of personal freedom rights. But that must be understood. Every personal freedom has limitation. This limitation of freedom can be interpreted that every individual has the right to act according to their rights as long as their actions are not harmful to others. In this context, people who are reluctant to vaccinate will actually have the potential to violate the principle of the right of others. Those who refuse to vaccinate cause a risk and can threaten the health of others due to their action. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Amira. My name Agesti for third speaker of proposition teams. However, in Article 5, Paragraph 3 of Law 36 2009 on health mentioned by Tania earlier, there is provision that vaccination is an option for the community or is voluntary without coercion. The regulation explains that vaccination is a person's choice to choose a method of treatment, including using a vaccine or not. I believe there are many other ways that the government can take to regulate health service for the entire community without harming some people. That is by campaigning, as on a third of educating and continuing to build synergy and awareness with all components of this nation, including the region. By making vaccine an obligation, it makes health service even more ineffective because to carry out the vaccine itself, awareness is needed in each individual. In developed countries, vaccine and immunization are not mandatory, but are rights and voluntary because of awareness of the importance of immunity to disease in order to continue to live a healthy life. Because pain is expensive. I'm sure that in the end, people will come to their sense and volunteer to vaccinate. So there is no need for coercion to follow the vaccine, let alone until there are sanctions. In addition, technically, human rights standards have provided a framework for fulfilling the right to health through the General Comment of the Committee on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, number 14, that health service must be four indicators, one of them which is aspect of accessibility or affordability. Vaccine must accepted by society. Public health must be a priority. So if the exciting vaccine products are still below expectation, it is better for the government not to rush to use them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ayesti, about your argument. I'm Rosida from Affirmative Group. Let me explain my argument. If the vaccine itself is not mandatory, then people will easily ignore it if there is no sanction and coercion, because the purpose of enabling sanction itself is to provide a deterrent effect and to provide an education for those who violate. Once again empires that the government never forced. The government only carries out its obligation to provide health service for the entire community, because health is part of a human right that must be protected by the government. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rosida. I'm Dia, the fourth speaker from proposition teams. Well, it's true that the government has the obligation, but that doesn't mean the government is forcing people to get vaccine. It also means that people have the right to choose between being vaccinated or not. Fines for vaccine refusal are actually seen as a form of government hands-off for the failure to control the spread of the epidemic by emphasizing vaccine refusal communities as the source of the problem. If the government can fine people who refuse vaccine, can people fine the government for being slow to take policies? For example, at the beginning of the pandemic, orders that are not in accordance with human rights, not to mention if there are side effects on the recipient of the vaccine that interfere with their health. Even if the vaccine fails, it will be fatal for the body. We also know that maintaining the body's immune system doesn't have to be the only way with vaccine. But there are many other ways to protect it. Healthy and clean lifestyle if we have been vaccinated, but our lifestyle is still a mess. That's the same thing. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm waiting here. Here I'm as a speaker for of the opposition group. I will give the conclusion. According to WHO, in 2010 until 2015, at least nearly 10 million deaths worldwide were prevented by vaccination. Many lives are protected from various diseases such as pneumonia, diarrhea, whooping cough, measles, and polio. From the statement that has been submitted by vaccination is mandatory thing and there needs to be sanction for those who violate it, because refusing a vaccine it tantamount to threatening the lives of others.
Okay, can I ask about affirmative teams? What is the basis for affirmative teams argument which states that the imposition of fines is a form of hands-off from the government? Sorry. As we know that the imposition of sanction for people who refuse vaccination is that criminal law is used as the last mean of law enforcement by continuously trying to provide confidence and understanding for the community regarding the importance of vaccination for themselves and those around them. The government must first give priority to providing education and humanitarian approach to the community regarding the vaccination program by involving various parties. So if the government is deemed to have let go by imposing a fine, it cannot be justified at all. Then related to the government's delay in taking action because there are many things that must be prepared, such as medical personnel and other support. In addition, the location and engineering of the vaccine site so that later there will be no build-up. Thank you.
Before going on our debate, I will introduce myself. I am Fatur Rahman as the fifth speaker from the FRO team. Answering a question from the opposition teams about imposing a fine on someone who does not want to be vaccinated when vaccination is made an obligation. The opposition team said this could be done as a criminal law because vaccines are important. First, it has absolutely nothing to do with criminal law in this regard. A person who chooses not to be vaccinated is not committing any crime, because vaccination is everyone's right to do or not. The law clearly states that the choice of health service is individual. Moreover, vaccines are not the only health service available, so there is no urgency that vaccines should be made as an obligation, or even given a sanction for those who don't do vaccination. Second, regarding priorities in providing education and approach regarding vaccination, there is absolutely nothing to do with providing education with the imposition of sanction. The provision of education and approach is actually held when vaccination is an is an option. The argument of the opposition teams on this one are very contradictory. When is made an obligation, what is there to be an approach? We approve of vaccination as an option so that people are not forced and feel that their right have been taken away. And the provision of education is used to build public awareness about the importance of vaccine so that they will choose to take vaccination with their own awareness, not being forced to follow by making vaccination an obligation. Even though they already know the benefit of vaccine through education and still choose not to vaccinate, it means that there are other causes or factors. With that, sanction cannot be given even though they have received education about vaccines. Thank you.
Excuse me, I'm from affirmative group. I want to edit my opinions. It's useless to live a healthy and attainable lifestyle, but if the surrounding environment is violent, with people who transmit viral disease, is it likely to be infected and a wider spread of disease will occur? Then I want to ask what Agesti said about side effect for vaccine recipient. Before they get vaccinated, it's better to ask their disease history, isn't it?
Yes, but in fact, as now, people are carrying out their vaccine obligation not because of their awareness to health, but because they are forced and afraid of the government threat that requires various activities to use vaccine certificate, which in the fact make things even more complicated, especially with uh, pidana. And whereas in the past, when we got the smallpox vaccine, tetanus vaccine, we did not get a certificate and there were criminal sanction. Have you ever entered the mall, then them ask you Where's your tetanus vaccine? Where your poly smallpox vaccine? Not right.
Does opposition team give up? Okay, I want to rebuttal the argument from the fifth speaker from the affirmative team. It is said that there is no relationship between compulsory vaccination or mandatory vaccination and the provision of the education. Of course, there will be various people, there will be another people kind of like who will reject such as a policy. Most people who reviews don't understand what is the function of the vaccine and what is the benefits vaccine are. Therefore, providing the education is needed to open the mind to open the minds of many person. Thank you.
So it means that what the pro team said is true, that you should not immediately make vaccine an obligation, but educate them first. Thank you.
Sorry, Agasti, can you repeat your argument?
Yes, so it means what the pro team said is true, that you should not immediately make vaccine an obligation, but educate them first. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to rebuttal the opinions, but before that, I will give the information from the Kemenkumham. Basically, the community has the right to hold and also has the obligation to realize, maintain, and improve the whole status of community, while the government itself is responsible for planning, regulating, organizing, fostering and supervising the implementation of health efforts that are equitable and affordable to the community, which is regulated in Article 14, Paragraph 1 of Law Number 66 of 19 of 2009 concerning about health. And in addition, in Article 152, Paragraph 1 of Law Number 66 of 2009 concerning about health. The government, local government, and the community are responsible for preventing, controlling, and eradicating infectious disease and their consequences. From this article, it is clear that the government and the community are responsible for preventing and controlling and eradicating infectious disease and their consequences. So, in principle, vaccination is not just matter of personal health, but rather to prevent transmission and from immune protection for everyone. Because living in the community is not only about saving yourself, but also saving others who need protection. So vaccination is an obligation for the government to be given to its citizens as the right to stay healthy and and safe from possible viral infections. And basically, everyone cannot refuse to be vaccinated because people who refuse to be vaccinated also should respect other people's human rights. I want to ask to the affirmative teams. Let me move to the COVID-19. If you say we have to give the education first about vaccinated, and we cannot uh, we cannot make mandatory of the vaccination, what we should do, uh, and the other, what we should do to the community. Thank you. Is the pro team already give up?
All right. Uh, but to maintain the body's own power does not have to use vaccine and many other things. Uh, as it balanced diet, increase consumption of vitamin C, get enough rest, manage stress, exercise diligently wash your hands, keep yourself clean, sunbathing, keep the environment clean. Thank you.
Okay, uh, I would like to rebuttal from the opinion of Tahda. Uh, it is the side of COVID of the preventing the COVID-19. Let me move to another disease like septicemia or another another disease that will make someone that uh, what we should do if we if someone refuses to get vaccinated is another option for the government or for community another from getting the vaccinated.
I've had COVID before. For a power whose body is good, then it is not a problem. Usually, people who die from COVID have certain diseases, and this is also why people shouldn't be vaccinated because of a congenital disease. Thank you.
Can you repeat again, Sahda, your argument?
I've had COVID before. Uh, for a power whose body is good, then it is not a problem. Usually, people who die from COVID have certain disease, and this is also why people shouldn't be vaccinated because of con- congenital disease. Thank you.
Excuse me. I want to add to the argument from Sahda. It's absolutely true because getting well doesn't only come from vaccine, but the key lies in yourself. Thank you.
Okay, your answer is out of sight with my questions. My questions is about deadly disease. How about if people getting the deadly disease, they don't want to get vaccinated because vaccination is an option, not an obligation. Thank you.
Okay, Agustin. Yes, indeed, vaccines are needed for disease, whether it is a deadly disease or not. I understand. But should this be made mandatory? I also want to add, in the past, the vaccine for the deadly smallpox virus took decades, and it is only natural that a pandemic outbreak would cause many people to die. Was the smallpox vaccine mandatory during the smallpox pandemic? Thank you.
Okay, Agesti, can you repeat your argument? Your voice is not clearly here. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, indeed, vaccines are needed for disease, whether it is a deadly disease or not. I understand. But should this be made mandatory? I also want to add, in the past, the vaccine for the deadly smallpox virus took decades, and it is only natural that a pandemic outbreak would cause many people to die. Was the smallpox vaccine mandatory during the smallpox pandemic? Thank you.
That's long time ago is, but today gold is the best. Access was still difficult, so even making it mandatory would be difficult because vaccine production is not as fast as it is now.
Sama berarti sama Jakarta. Saya ke Bandung pernah setiap hari berangkat kok aku habis 700. Yang 900 PP. PP Surabaya Semarang. Berarti sama dengan Jakarta. 300 kalau saya. Tidak. Oh, enggak.
So we cannot make vaccinated easily without education.
Jadi sama bensinnya.
Sorry, can I share my opinion? I want to ask for affirmative team. What if someone is around people who don't want the vaccine? Is it health maintained or not? Thank you.
I want to answer Amira's question. It depends on the person human system. Terima kasih. Thank you.
And it depends on the lifestyle of the person whether to take good care of it or not. It is emphasized again that people have the right to choose their way of life.
Okay, thank you, Sahda and Agasti.
Does opposition team already give up?
Okay, I want share my opinion. If that person transmit it to others, they are the same as disturbing the rights of others. So we can conclude that the vaccine is an obligation, not an option. Thank you.
Sorry, I need to stop the debate because of the time limit. Thank you everyone who has done the debate. And it's really nice. You are also great. And maybe you can stop the record because we already finished the debate. And yeah, I think I don't have any feedback besides there are so many long pauses between the replay and the argument before. Okay, maybe we can already finish the debate before we close the debate. Maybe we can pray first. Pray begin. Pray never ends. Okay, before I close the meeting, is there any question? Okay. Maybe we can take a picture for documentation before